So let's talk about some of the challenges facing science today, and let's also talk about some definitions that I'd like you to know. And science, as you guys know already, is a study of our physical and natural world. So the key word is a study. We're searching for knowledge, things that are unknown. That is science. But then we also have another word called technology. And technology is the application of science. For instance, if you pick up your vacuum cleaner and you vacuum the house, you have an absolute expectation that that vacuum cleaner will pick up dirt and dust. That vacuum cleaner is an application of science for a practical purpose. Another word I want you to remember is bioethics. Bioethics is a branch of ethics concerned with the development and consequences of technology. And not all technology are free from emotional and psychological effects. For instance, we have issues such as embryonic stem cell research, which is an area that affects a lot of us, and we think about it, and in terms, not just in terms of science, but in terms of spirituality and psychologically. And so that is the definition of bioethics. Take a moment and think of possible areas of our world today in which we are dealing with bioethics. And then we have a concept known as biodiversity. Biodiversity is perhaps the single most significant bioethical issue today. And so biodiversity is the variation in life on Earth and refers directly to the number of different species that we have here on Earth. There are so many species that we're discovering every day, and as we've discovered a lot of species, unfortunately, many of those species have also gone into extinction. And extinction, by definition, is the death of an entire species or taxonomical group. And some of the species that are going extinct are important species in biodiversity. Some of them are keystone species. They're species on which entire ecosystems are built on, species that allow ecosystems to thrive. Okay, and about it is estimated that about 400 species per day are lost due to human activity. So this means we have a responsibility to take care of our the species around us, and they can serve us, we can serve them, and they just make our world a better place. Extinction is one of the is a negative to biodiversity, and we all can play a role in reducing extinction. Other issues that are affecting us today are the issues of emerging diseases, and this is very apropos to our world right now as we deal with the coronavirus. These diseases are diseases that we haven't seen before, or we haven't seen versions of them before, and for some reason they come into our society. And one of the main reasons we get emerging diseases are when we interact with wildlife that we don't typically interact with. Some of these wildlife are well adjusted to surviving against certain viruses and bacteria and fungal diseases, and we're not. And so when we interact with these wildlife, sometimes we are subject, or these diseases are able to affect us in ways it doesn't affect those wildlife. Examples are the Ebola virus that was ravaging the world a few years ago, and coronavirus that is present today. So emerging diseases may result from new or increased exposure to animals or insect populations that may act as vectors for these diseases. And also, some of these diseases just come out of mere mutations of current diseases that we know, current diseases and current viruses and bacteria that we know may mutate and thus lead to new diseases that we haven't seen before. Emerging diseases can lead to changes in human behavior and use of technology. Sometimes these emerging diseases, they lead to some of the greatest inventions, or some of the great they move us to make changes in our behavior, or even in our scientific behavior. For instance, many years ago, when HIV came into our society, we gave a lot of money and a lot of time into researching viruses. And now every time we see a new disease, we put so much money and so much time and effort into doing research, and also leads to medical breakthroughs. And it's very unfortunate that these diseases are there, and we hope that we're able to tackle these diseases.